Hey guys, welcome back. Let's jump into this new build again. We're going to jump straight into the BMW and we're going to try and get more of this engine out. Hopefully the whole thing. Last episode we dropped all the fluids out. We got all the oil, coolant, that's all the fluids. And I started pulling the airbox and stuff out, but I didn't want to go too far. I just wanted to get a good going over the vehicle, where we're headed, and now let's get into some action. So we're going to chuck the camera on, we're going to get into this thing and hopefully get this whole engine torn apart. We're going to get it out of here. I want to save a few things, but I'll get onto that once we get the engine out. So first up, I think easiest thing to do on this, we're going to work on the engine, we're going to hang it over the top of it, and we're going to get this bonnet out. So I'll mark the bonnet, I'll run a little bit of a Sharpie around all the bolts, therefore when I put it back on it'll hopefully line up in exactly the same spot because the lines are pretty good. Okay, so this is what I wanted to do. So I want to clean this a little bit, and then we want to run the Sharpie around here, and therefore when we pull it out it should line up pretty well. So just like that. I'll do the same on that side. I'll mark these washers as well. I'll go around the edge here and on here. I'll do a little bit nicer in a second, but just to show you, I'll do all that, get it all nicely marked out, and then therefore when I put it back on, I can mark up this line with this line and the bottom of the bolts and everything else and get it pretty damn bang on. And so therefore when I put it back together, it should line up really nicely. So I'll run around and do that on both sides, get this undone, and we can get into it. Okay, here we go guys. Draining the power steering fluid and it is... Oh, maybe can I get some light on it? It's just black, as you can see in there. I thought this might be the case, and I think my power steering pump is just buggered, which means the rack is probably not in the best shape. I'll work it out later, but something to keep an eye on. I think I'll have to look out for a second-hand one or something like that. So now, let's finish with the rest of this stuff. Hopefully get this out of there.
Okay, here we go, everybody. Getting in there. I've done a few little bits and pieces just cause it's just a little knickknacks and bits and pieces, a little bit boring to watch. So turn the camera off, but we have starter motor out. We have some of the bolts on the bell housing undone. Not that I need to get them undone because I'm going to pull the whole thing as one, but I just thought I'd pull a few of them while everything was all stable. The exhaust, I snapped both the bolts off. It happens. It's all good, but I still have the engine mounts here. I have the gearbox mount in the back to undo. I have jump underneath and I've undone the tail shaft. So everything should come off looking pretty good. So I'm going to chuck you up on the stand. I'll get these engine mounts off and then we can see if we can pull this engine out.
A few inches later.
Okay, so as you can see, this thing is filthy. It has grime and grease and schmutz everywhere. I have blocked off, well, the fuel is blocked off just because I pulled the engine, but I chucked a little bolt into the brake booster part. I covered the electrics up because it's going to be a while before I start this. I don't want to have any corrosion and anything in any of it. I'm going to have to change some of it anyway, but I thought I would tidy it all up with a plastic bag, get it all out of the way. The rest of it we can hit really heavily with some degreaser, especially down the bottom here, and as you can see on the rails, it's gross. So let me chuck you on a time lapse, get some degreaser out, and hopefully clean this thing up. While we're at it, we'll chuck some degreaser on this greasy boy. It is filthy. I'm gonna probably have to change the rear seal on it. When I wash it, I'll try and not hit the seals too much. Also the breather you gotta watch out for. We'll drain the oil out of this before we drive it anyway, but I like to mention it just because sometimes people just don't know, and it's just easy just to not hit them too hard. Like, you can wash them, but you don't want to blast a heap of water into them and get it in the seals. So we'll chuck this probably under the engine bay actually, so all the extra grease and water that comes off the engine bay will hit this and then wash it, and then before we drag the car back in, we'll spray it down as well. So let's get into it. And there we go, guys. It's looking amazing, so much cleaner. I'm really sorry this idiot forgot to press record on the GoPro and didn't realize it wasn't recording. So you don't get the montage of everything looking so much better like it does now, but it's a little bit like this.
But the only customer we've had is that weird guy who keeps paying Justin to wash his truck.
That's it, boy. Get in there nice and deep like.
That's not good. God, this sucks.
As you can see, everything looks so much. The subframe is actually black instead of brown with textured grease all over it. The rack is silver. I think it is meant to be black. I think a lot of the paint has come off. The rack, I'm thinking I'm going to have to change. As you saw, the oil that came out of that thing was absolutely horrible. And so I think changing that for maybe a purple rack or maybe anything else, finger bash it down below if you think there's a good option other than the purple rack. Purple racks are a little expensive, but maybe it'd be worth it. I'm also going to change the linkage, I think, get rid of this rubber isolator, which then I think I have to do with a new rack anyway, and tighten everything up, get rid of that rubber isolator. But that'll be a bit of a later step. I don't think I have to do it right now. But as you can see, the engine bay is so much cleaner. There's less rust. Well, I shouldn't say less rust. Less dirt, grime, and schmutz everywhere. We do have a little bit of rust, though. We have up under the battery tray, as you can see, there's a little bit of a hole here, and it's just not looking the best. And it's also leaked down into the chassis rack. I don't think I'm going to paint this. I'm going to give this a really good clean up, and I'll polish it a little bit. and I think I'll leave it other than paint in the rust repair or rust cleanup and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think it's worth it. I think with the whole car, once I paint it and get everything all looking pretty schmick, the engine bay is going to look nice. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not doing a full crazy resto on it. So I think that'll stay for now. But I think that's going to do, guys. I have the gearbox. Ooh, I'll show you it now. So the gearbox looks amazing as well. I have to do input and output seal as well as the shifter seal, but we'll get that ordered and get that on the way. This thing is really clean though. Like all this aluminium up here, it must have just been leaking or had something on there from the start. It doesn't look like it's had any like factory protection. Just looks like it's been covered in grease because it like kind of stops here, as you can see. So I'm pretty happy. I think with a little bit more time, just getting into all those little nooks and crannies on the gearbox, it should end up really nice. I don't think it had that like honey coated, like that really hard to get off like undercoating they put on to prevent rust on like Euro. I think it was just a bit of grease. And engine's out. Everything's looking awesome. I think that's going to be it. But thank you for hanging out. Thanks for tuning in. Finger bash down below what you think or any questions or remarks. And I'll see you on the next one. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.